Oh, so this is going to be the first part of our series on how to get these Generali agent dashboards set up. So we have a request for setting up a dashboard for Generali Serbia. And the only thing that we've been given so far is this URL. So we have this URL, and what's interesting and what we should note about this URL is this part at the very end. So there's a query parameter that is agent ID is equals to this GUID. Now this is something we need to append to the URL, and this query parameter will ensure that the agent banner shows up. So let's go to this URL and see how it looks. This is the Generali Serbia website, and here is our banner. And we need to be able to track this. So the first step would be for us to find out what are the things we need to track. First of all, we have to track the banner being displayed. That's step one. Step two, not step two, but the secondary things that we wish to track are the CTAs, which are over here. We can see that there are 4 CTAs, one for phone, one for email, one for Facebook, and a final one for Globe. So that's it. It's fairly simple. We have one banner display and 4 call to actions. So in total, we need to set up 5 tags. So let's begin doing that in GTM. So we're in Tag Manager. We're already in Generali Serbia, and we need to create a few variables before we move forward. Now, what are we going to create? Let's have a look at what has already been done for Slovenia. So this is the case for Slovenia. We have agent ID, agent name, and article title. So these are the 3 user-defined variables that we need to set up at the very beginning. Let's begin with agent ID. Okay. Okay. I guess I need to add admin privileges for myself. Just going to add admin privileges to myself so that we can find out the exact configuration. Okay, that's done. Let's return to variables. Let's begin with agent ID. Okay, so it's fairly straightforward. Still can't edit this. Refresh. Okay, now we're in business. Right, so we have the variable type of URL. We're going to just take the query component, and the query key is agent ID. Again, let's recall what we are tracking. We're trying to find out just this number. This number over here is our agent ID, and this is the thing that we wish to extract from our URL. This is what the variable is supposed to do. It's supposed to give us this ID. This is the agent ID, and we're going to set it up for Generali Serbia. So I don't see a new button. Let me just refresh my screen. Okay, here's the new button. Let's get started. Let's call this agent ID, and the type's going to be URL. We don't want the full URL, we just want the query. It's going to be agent ID. Format value. So everything's going to be the same. We're just going to quickly check if everything is indeed the same. Yes, they do look to be the same, but this I has to be capitalized. This has to exactly match what's present over here. So agent, and then a capitalized I, then D. And we have exactly this. Alright, so that is our first URL, and that's done. That's our first variable that we have created. Next, we're going to create the article title URL. So let's article title variable, my bad. Article title. The variable is going to be mm, so it's supposed to be a page element. It should be a DOM element. Selection method is usually going to be a class, the element selector, and then we're going to have to add an attribute. Let's see what's been done already. So let's see article title. Okay, so it's DOM element, CSS selector. This is our selector. Now we cannot copy this selector exactly. I mean, it might work, it might not work. We'll have to test it out and see, is this selecting our article title? And we'll have to go do this by going into the site, opening the console. This is the article title. So we're just going to select this, and we can see that it has a class of heading left, and it's whatever's inside this. But do we have any major identifier? Actually, we don't, other than its heading share wrapper. Okay, so, and then there is the container itself. Right, let's see what's been done over here. Div container inner h2. Okay, so this is definitely not going to work. So we'll have to rely on something a little different. So we have the div heading share wrapper followed by an h1. Okay, I think that's going to work. So our class is going to be, we're going to copy this exactly what it is. So just going to copy this. And then we know it's the h1. So h1. That should be it. Is there any format value? There does not appear to be any formatting values. Since it's a div, we can add div dot it's definitely a DOM element. Okay, I think we can save, and this should work. Let's just quickly set up our third variable, which is agent name. It's also going to be a DOM element. Of course, we're going to select using a CSS selector. And we are going to compare it to the agent name over here. So it's a selector and it's using div ncfix banner span ncfix banner agent name. Usually for the agent name, you should be able to just copy paste whatever's over here. The reasoning is, I'm going to do this, but we're still going to test. The reasoning is the banner is supposed to, what we're trying to get is this agent name right here from the banner itself. And since the banner is made by NC or ID and the banner is the same for all of these different markets, I reckon that the site and the way the banner is set up, the selection for the name should be the same, but we're still definitely going to check. So it's of a class NC fixed banner agent name Nils Gillette. NC fixed banner agent name Nils Gillette. That should work. NC fixed banner agent name. Alright, so this is the part that we're tracking. I believe that should be specific enough, but we're adding in an extra level of specificity with this div as a parent. Is that true? So there is indeed a div as a parent called NC fixed banner. So I don't think it's strictly required in this case, but since it's there, might as well roll with it. And we can save, and there we go. Voila! We have our 3 variables set. Now that the variables are set, all that's left to do is to set up the tags, and our part 1 of our setup will be complete. So that will continue in the next video.